After you vanquish the accusers in spite of almost having lost, there's little time for you to rest as yet. The night beckons and the next rite reveals itself to be a vital one. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna pause this for a second. It is already time, reader. Come see for yourself. The coldness of the season now presents us another chance. He heads out straight away and you follow in turn. Indeed, among the remaining stars you see one with your familiar now burns ever brightly. Who are we fighting? Oh, I thought so. Already are the Nightwings summoned back to mount a low deal. Picture the rights as a wheel broken free from a black wagon. It's turning uncontrollably and soon shall reach a sudden stop. We should have several chances left for someone to go free, either us or else our adversaries, but not both. What is at stake each time is further complicated now, I must admit, knowing we have so few opportunities remaining. Those whom we send back to the Commonwealth, should our plans somehow fail, they may look back upon their exiles with fondness. So returning to the Commonwealth is not inherently a mercy, I don't think. Moreover, there are also those among us whom we count on to prevail in the rights. We need them on the Nightwings just as much we need them in the Commonwealth. We cannot simply grow our numbers here given the circumstances. And so, who stays, who goes, these choices affect us all. No pressure there, my girl. Now, I don't know about you, but I shall go and take my leave for now. Let us set forth again at daybreak. The accusers formed under Golathanian he's a big man. He values justice and loyalty, steadfastness. Golathanian says that the accusers take their name from one of the most accomplished legions from his former military days. All among them, in fact, served the Grand Master General at one time. They represent the stoutest hate-hearted men and women of the Empire who held true to Myr and Golathanian to the end. The golden colors of their raiments are reminiscent of their old shining armor, in his claim. Ever shall they seek out those with the truest spirits and the strongest sense of purpose to replenish their ranks. Hi, Tizo. Tizo has seemed somewhat less cheerful since his run-in with Lendl and the accusers. He approaches you, wanting for you to hear him out. Unhappy about something Lendl said to him, he understands why Lendl is angry, but while he doesn't like him as a person, he recognizes nonetheless that you denied his freedom. It was a liberation rite. He did what he felt necessary. He wanted to help his friend go free. Nonetheless, he still feels a certain guilt and regrets that the rites forces exiles into such situations. He falls silent for a while. Whether the 8 scribes ever intended for imps such as he to participate in the rites firsthand is difficult to know for certain. Then, he's grateful to you for listening. The scribes created the rites with good intentions. He promises to keep doing the best to live up to the legacy. He bounds up to the rafters with some of his other Drive-Imps, regardless of whether he truly is an ancestor of Howd the Swallow. Surely the scribes would have been proud of him. Trams. Berries. Nautical bell. Staring into the distance. Speaking in tongues. I don't know who I'm gonna let go this time. I feel like it would be particularly cruel if it was Hamatha that had to go up against her sister. Well, on the off chance that she wants to participate. I think she would still be sad if she, like, denied her sister a chance to get out. Tough decision. Make a landing upon Mount Alodil, where Volfred pulls you aside while the others complete the post-flight inspection. He puffs his pipe before speaking up. Reader, as you know, I now wear the raiments once again. This means that I myself may be soon be worthy to regain my freedom in the eyes of the 8 scribes. No, however, that it is not my wish to go just yet. It is true I could be of some benefit to our plan in the Commonwealth, but I feel my place is here for the time being. Perhaps once the Nightwings are on a surer footing of their path, my time shall come. Those are my feelings on the matter, and I wanted you to know. I shall, of course, defer to you. Our path is not to contradict the reader's will. Anyway, I trust that all of us, yourself included, shall find our freedom. If not soon, then by when all of this is over. Which is hilarious, because he's like, yeah, everybody can have freedom except you. And I'm just like, fine. Having completed the post-flight inspection, you and Pamitha visit the monument of Teresa Tithys here at Emperor's Ascent. I have to hand it to you, Pamitha. You have a real gift for getting yourself into one bad situation after another. Now here you are praying to the dead to bring back stars back. Is that it? Maybe you'll get out of here this time. Things might even be worse back home. Soon she has finished paying her respects. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Teresa Tithys has shown you favor. You shall soon ascend the mountain, though there's time now to pursue your vocations. What have you come to understand of the book? Can you recite its passages yet by heart? Have you internalized its teachings? In its lack of limits, you experience your own. Righteousness! Bing! You find Pamitha by herself again, though her expression is grown darker than her custom. Leave me be, would you, Reader darling? Trying to get some good, proper moping done here, and you're distracting me. Leave me be, Reader. Just leave me be, Reader. Just leave me be. You don't want to know what's lurking in my heart or mind. What you'll find there isn't pretty. It's something about her thought process is different to you now. You know that with her conditioning, she can resist your scrutiny. But now her thoughts are laid bare to you. Those thoughts are her own business. The fleeting connection between you is soon severed. Thoughts are loathsome things, Reader. It's difficult to know how best to hide them. Mine are plain enough for you to see by now. She exhales and looks askance. You know by now why I'm in this mess with all of you. You could say I lacked Tamitha's sense of commitment, her zeal. She lives only to see your nation overthrown, or something worse, if she could have her way. Centuries of conflict can be quite emboldening that way, especially when one's sister's leading cause of death is Commonwealth forged steel. Wielded with the utmost of mercy, of course. Well, I had little patience for the senselessness of it myself. Became a bit of a pariah, I suppose. I knew Tamitha was going to get herself and others killed someday, so when she was to fly out on this one big mission of hers, I had other arrangements made. But after she was caught, your people did not exactly uphold their end of the bargain. I knew there was such risks, of course, and yet a chance is still a chance. Tamitha was clipped and cast down. On mercy, they called it. I did not see it that way, and in my growing protests of her treatment, I was soon enough to follow. She falls silent for a while. I haven't yet decided if I entirely regret my actions, but I do seek Temitha's forgiveness, and wish that she could see my thoughts for what they are, as it seems you can. Then she might realize our nation's people have much more in common than she knows. Sometimes I wonder which of them is the stupider. She brushes past you and out of the wagon for now. Talent ace of the Highwing remnants who possess the talent of her sisters, but not their single-minded zeal. She grew weary of the fighting and decided she would put an end to it. Thus, when a critical battle approached, the Commonwealth was waiting, and her own blood sister was among the harps captured and clipped. She was more guilt-stricken by this turn than she expected. When she attempted to contact her blood sister in exile, she was told that she could seek her firsthand, and was exiled in turn. Oops. Shrooms. So squishy. So our opponents are going to be pretty quick. Tizo has a huge aura, so does Joe Dario. Decide. Maybe Sir Gilman this time. I feel like he would zealously fight for the resistance. Temitha, probably not so much. En route to the mountaintop, you pass by a monument to Luce Lorien, and Sir Gilman happens to take notice. It seems that this knight's test of honor is just beginning to begin. He is to understand the stars themselves are vanishing? Impossible, he says, for how can there be such a thing as honor in this world if the stars themselves are wont to leave this world behind? As soon as he's finished paying his respects, as you prepare to continue your ascent, you sense Luce Lorien has shown him favor. Oh boy, 2 presents. You and your fellow exiles gather at the foot of the Scribe's Gate. Before an archway carved of stone stands the gate guardian. Greetings to you, Celeste. I see the exiles of the Nightwings have returned, even as the cycle of the rites begins drawing to a close. The Nightwings accept this as the will of the Scribes. The gate guardian laughs at this softly for some reason. And you, Tariq, do you accept their will as well? But the lone minstrel does not answer her. It is no matter now, Nightwings. Each of you come forth and state what it is you seek while crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, Nightwings declare themselves. You all pass through as before. When Volfred takes his turn, Celeste stops him. You, I see you wear the raiments again. Explain? The cycle of the rites is ending. While I do not know exactly why, I have my fears. One of my contemporaries, he who fell from the summit long ago, he lives and seeks his liberty again. He stands against us now and believes his triumvirate to be the true Nightwings. I remember well the contemporary whom you mean. Then the Nightwings stand divided. Yes, and so I wear the raiments once again, in case that may help to right this wrong. For I am Wolfred Sandalwood, and I seek liberty for each of us, so that one day we might all stand shoulder to shoulder on the other side and bring our freedom to the people there. She considered Wolfred's words for a moment.
Sintare.
I see then. Move along. The guardian of the Scribes' Gate regards you all and then beckons you onward. Eight scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Celeste. What is it, Tariq? The will of the scribes. Long have we both followed it. I think you would agree. In equal measure, it has drawn us close and separated us. But if their aim now is to keep us apart for another age or longer, then no, I do not accept their will. You blaspheme, Tariq, and the gate no less. But then the lone minstrel simply puts his hat back on. Then may the scribes themselves admonish me until tomorrow night, Celeste. 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 Having reached the peak of Mount Elodil again, you see the vastness of the downside all around you. It leaves you deep in thought regarding which of your companions ought to go free this night, as the rookie did last time. Hey guys, so like I don't know what's going on up there with all them stars all acting real weird and stuff, but let me tell you something here. You ain't gonna find better deal on this stuff from anybody. I mean anybody on the downside. I can trust me when you tell you that, okay? So go ahead and stock up. All the stardust. Really? Look at that one. Well, she's doing business with you guys, so, Sandra. What's on your mind, Sandra? This place, where you currently reside, it must be Mount Elodil, is it not? This is where those blasted scribes had decided what to do with me. I had already failed in my mission to eliminate the demon Suliam Mur. I did not anticipate his retinue, you see. They took me and some of my Beyonders alive, although I do not expect to see account of that in their good book. Whether it was for mercy or out of spite, I never became certain. They probably presumed that my expulsion for eternity would eventually have taught me some respect for them, but no. Not yet. Well, I do not mean that really. The scribes did spare my life, and were it not for that, I would never have been thusly trapped to then enjoy your company, O lovely reader. Now, having met my quota of blaspheming for a time, I think it's best we resume the normal sort of business between us, if there's any to speak of. And good hunting at the precipice. May you soon rid the downside of some useless idiot. Until our next appointment. I enjoy Sandra. She's my favorite. Wolfred looks up at you as approach and smiles. I never thought I would say such things, my girl, but it's good to wear the raiments and the rights once more. The march of time does have a way of healing certain hurts. Besides, the Nightwings of today are very different beasts than the Triumvirate which took me in almost a decade ago. Ours was a Triumvirate of exactly 3. Well, 4 with Tiso, who proved to be an exception, though historically the Nightwings never took on more exiles than needed. I have mentioned my predecessor Brighton and my former companions as Erisa and Orlek. Perhaps naively I had hoped my time with them would not be relevant directly to what we had now attempt. But seeing as our stories are now intertwined, do let me know if there's any more you wish to learn of them. Let's learn about Brighton. We ask about Brighton, who you understand was liberated prior to when Wolfred first joined the Nightwings. I never met Brighton in person, but I know him rather well by now, though for that matter, my girl, so do you. He studies your reaction for a moment, then. Brighton was born wealthy, but not special otherwise. You had no reason to have heard of him. He was exiled for negligent misconduct, and I do not know exactly why, and do not care for spreading rumors. I first heard of him through Arisa and Orlek, who found me in a suitable replacement following his liberation. They spoke little of him. Orlek gave the impression that they did not see eye to eye. but he assured me I would soon hear from him myself. Indeed, as I became accustomed to the book, which you now know by now, I soon began to hear the voice. Wilfred looks at you as if to see if you take his meaning. You see, my girl, after Brighton's liberation, he assumed a new identity within the Commonwealth, and a new responsibility to the Triumvirate, which liberated him. That voice you hear from time to time, whensoever the stars align, is his. He is no longer Brighton. He is now none other than the Archjustice Androboles the Ninth himself. Liberated exiles retain certain burdens to their old triumvirates. They have much to thank them for, not just their freedom, but their exalted status in the Commonwealth. The theocratic rulers of the Commonwealth, they do not wear masks and raiment simply for the sake of ceremony. They are not who they appear to be. Their public pasts are nothing but fabrication. Like Brighton, they were once exiles too. Brighton, that voice, he has no love for either one of us by now. He knows full well what we attempt to do, yet he is bound by the traditions of the rites. He shall always stand on ceremony and complain, but I think he knows deep down that he is powerless. How ironic that one of such high status in the Commonwealth should be so frightened of some long-forgotten exiles such as we are. Anyway, that's Brighton for you. He must have seen in you the potential to be one of his staunch supporters for a time. If that's a path you'd want to pursue, I should apologize. Now then, whom else should we talk about? You ask about Orisa, who you understand betrayed Orlek at the moment of his liberation, but then perished in the Shimmer Pool. I'm afraid you know the brunt of it, my girl, but I suppose you ought to know something of Orisa's past, lest you be quick to judge her solely by her actions. Mind you, I would never make excuses for the terrible choice she ultimately made, but her life, I understand, was very difficult. Orisa had been exiled for the foulest of acts. You could see it plainly branded on her face, such was the heinousness of what she did in the eyes of the Commonwealth. She was an apprentice blacksmith in her youth, taking up the post left by her brother. He had fallen in the battle on the blood border, despite wielding their father's own lance and armor. Her father never quite recovered after this. He had grown cruel and detached. It was Orisa who took the brunt of his fury. He expected the impossible of her. One day it was all too much for her. So when he lashed out at her, she, struck back. She struck back again and again and again. When they came for her, her father was gone and she was not herself. She was promptly cast into the downside for the crime, where her hatred for the Commonwealth only grew. Orisa always was intense in her demeanor, haunted by her father's memory. More than that, her chief motive for wanting back her freedom was, in hindsight, not a healthy one. She longed to join our nation's enemies, to build for the High-Wing remnants a great siege engine that could shatter the defenses of the Commonwealth, and forever end our feud. What she ultimately did to Orlek, it was an act of pure and thoughtless desperation. I do not think it was simply evil, nor do I think that it was personal. I often wondered, though, if in her final moments of the Shimmer Pool, she understood what she had done, and the depths to which she had fallen. For years, I must admit, I hated her, but now my only hope is that she found peace untenable during her relatively short life in the downside in the Commonwealth. Furthermore, I hope the life of Orisa offers some perspective yet to those who have not made the same mistakes. Now then, was there something else? I want a sip of coffee. You ask about what Orlek was like when he and Wilfred first became acquainted. He remained silent for some time. I was very, very sick, you know, when I first landed in the downside. A long trip down the river must have been a little much for me. It was Orlek who found me. He could not have known my capacity to read before he revived me. He was a physician, intolerant of the sight of suffering of any kind, not just any physician, mind you. A gifted, highly decorated one. He served on the front. Back then, skirmishes erupted frequently, and those such as Orlek, they had to deal with many casualties on either side. In time, he said he grew repulsed by what he saw. This sowed in his heart a yearning for an end to all bloodshed, so he tried to use his status to negotiate a treaty with the High-Wing remnants. It must have gone about how you'd expect. He was given direct orders to return to the front, but when he refused to soil his hands again, they cast him to the downside. Here he gained the notice of the Nightwings, and before long he grew to be one of the finest rite conductors anyone had ever seen. Well, we did lose to him, so... He was instrumental in the liberation of his companions, whose roles in the triumvirate were later filled by Irisa and me. In time Orlek's own opportunity for freedom had come up. He longed for it so that with his exiled status he might stand a better chance for negotiating peace. However, on the evening of his liberation, well, you know the story from that point. He breathes a heavy sigh. He and I were kindred spirits for a while. I could not bear to think that he was gone, and now I still cannot entirely believe that he's back. He's our adversary now, transformed, grown cold. Still, part of me is happy that he lives. Make no mistake, of course, I shall not be swayed against our plan, not by Orlek or anyone. As I have said before, we share a higher calling now. As for Orlek, he wants his freedom still, although I wonder if he still remembers why. Anyway, was there something else, my girl? You bid him a good afternoon and leave him with his memories. My pleasure, reader. Reflecting on the past from time to time helps demonstrate how far we've come, yet how much farther we have to go. Had a few snags, and they need all the help they can get. Oh, this is gonna be interesting.